Hello, everyone, and welcome to the PanelCast. This is, PanelCast episode 202. We're Forbidden Panel. I'm AJ, your host. This week I am joined by Justin White. Hello, Justin.
Hey, guys.
And whatever your name is, Joey Labartnik.
Whatever your name is, Joey Labartnik. Whatever your name is was what my mom wanted to call me at first, but she was vetoed.
Well, now it's come back to life, so there you have it. Mr. Is, how are you this week, guys?
Good.
Yeah, great. You know, it's been a bit uneventful 2 weeks since we last spoke. Has it been 2 weeks? I don't know. Whatever.
Since we spoke, yes, but since we last recorded, it's been a month.
Wow.
So.
Oh, really? Jeez.
Yeah, it's hard. I've got my head down on my comic, and so things just fly by. Days, weeks.
Can you give us a little info on your comic? Would you mind?
Well, I'm working on the sequel to A Man Called Kraken, Part 2. Well, it's not really a Part 2, just the next book. It will be called Pig Truck Blues. I don't know. It's another one shot, small graphic novel, probably around the same size as the last one. Following that squid-headed barbarian as he beats his way through the post-apocalypse.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very weird, and there's a lot of I don't know. This is gonna be. I'm having a lot of fun with this one. So I didn't have fun with the last one, but I'm working on a whole bunch of different things with it, new techniques. It's been good for the soul. But I don't pay attention to a lot of things outside of my little art bubble, though.
Well, you can't. Once you get into it, you're just absorbed into it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Justin, what have you been working on?
Nothing much at the moment. I gotta get back on the dungeon crawler, but I haven't worked on it in a bit. But that's my next project. Yeah.
Nice. Here at Forbidden Panel, we've been working on ZKS, as well as other titles like Joey's and Justin's new one. So we're hoping to have all of these books out when we start the con tour next year, which we don't know exactly where we're starting it yet, but when we do, we'll go ahead and post the information on it so everyone can come see us, as well as see some of the new titles and artwork that we're going to have done and put out by Joey and Justin and all the other artists we have with us. So I'm very excited for that. But I have been excited for the past 8 years waiting on this new ZKS issue. But I've been keeping myself busy otherwise. Everybody else has been too. So we all have day jobs. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I'm not in my garage right now, contrary to popular belief. I am at the shop. So Chaos Collectibles in Redlands, come by and visit us. There's my shameless self-promotion.
Is there a creepy clown in the back?
Shorty?
Is it a killer clown?
Yes, it's animatronic too.
Hard to tell from here. It's all blown out. Very cool. This is where the clown attacks AJ.
Right. This is Five Nights at AJ's.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And if Jimmy's watching, he has a heart attack.
Jimmy wouldn't watch. At this point, Jimmy has turned it off. Jimmy from Been Better Comics has turned this podcast off. So yeah, that's where I am, surrounded by action figures and toys and stuff. Thought it would be a nice geeky background to have for us recording this stuff. On this episode, we're going to be discussing Loki season 2, which just wrapped up last week. We will be talking about something else that I can't remember because I'm brain dead. Because I've been all day.
We're going to be talking about the Forbidden Panel event recently.
Yes, the zombie pageant that we hosted recently, as well as there was. Oh, I just finished a video game called Ghost of Tsushima, and I wanted to discuss that. I was cramming as fast as I can to try and get this game done before the movie started. But we'll get to that later on down the line. So let's start off with Loki. Justin, you seem to be the biggest cheerleader of the show, so why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Loki and give us your opinion on it.
It pretty much picks up right after the end of the first season, and follows the adventures of Loki trying to repair the damage done by the choices that Sylvie made at the end of the first season. And
we should, before we go further, sorry.
No, yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about the whole thing, right?
Right. We're gonna get all detailed. We're gonna talk about characters, names, surprises, all that stuff. So if you don't want to hear any of that, you just want to hear the basic rundown of what we thought about it. Guys, as a whole, what did we think about it?
I loved it.
Joey?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
I thought the ending was cool.
Yeah. Thought the ending was great.
Yeah. There you go. Now let's skip ahead because we're gonna get spoilery and detail-y.
Yes.
Justin, go ahead. Continue.
So basically what entails is they find Ravonna and Miss Minutes find a variant of He Who Remains named Victor Timely in the 1800s and give him a copy of the TVA handbook, which sets him on a course to possibly becoming He Who Remains. And all this is while the branches of the timeline are collapsing, and they're trying to figure out a way to save all the various branches without having to prune them and thereby kill a whole bunch of people.
Now, originally in the first season, there was only one timeline, and then it started to branch off. Right? That was what the
there were branches, and they would prune them, which involved like just eliminating all those things. Yeah, but when at the end of the first season, when Sylvie killed He Who Remains, he was the one that was controlling all the branches and the timeline and stuff. So when he died, they all started growing out of control. And the temporal loom is a device that they had created to kind of keep those all in control, and it couldn't handle all the new branches.
Now, Sylvie is also a variant of Loki.
Correct. Yes.
That he has a crush on, which is weird. He's in love with himself.
Yes, he had to
which is very narcissistic of Loki when you think about it, but
which is perfectly fitting. Yes,
right. It works. Right.
Yeah, he had to learn to love himself before he could love anybody else.
Exactly.
Mom was right.
Yep. Anyway, as in the first season, Owen Wilson stars as Mobius, and I don't want to even attempt the guy's name because I will butcher it, but it's a new character portrayed by the actor who played Short Round, and he is a wonderful character named Obi, and but most of the cast is the original cast from the first season. Miss Minutes is there, Ravonna is there, Sylvie, Agent B16 or B15, and yeah. So we just excuse me, like I said, we just pretty much pick up right at the end of after the end of the first season.
Yeah, Ki Hui Kwan.
Yes.
His name Ki.
Kwan. Yeah.
Can I just say real quick, like, this is my favorite thing Owen Wilson has ever done.
Mine too.
I can't really stand him normally in movies. He's funny in Zoolander, in the Zoolander films, and he can be occasionally funny in the Wes Anderson movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was great in a few of those.
Yeah,
but he's not like my favorite actor, and I don't like run to the theaters to see anything he's in. But seeing him as Mobius has been a complete transformation as to what my opinion on his acting ability is.
Yeah, and
he's coming across more serious, and he's taking himself serious.
Yeah, and the chemistry between him and Tom Hiddleston is really great.
Right.
The moments where they're having conversation is some of my favorite parts of the show. It's like
this season was like buddy cop.
Yeah,
buddy cop shop.
Yeah,
I loved it about it. I thought that was really awesome because you're right. When they're together, the rapport between each other is awesome. You know, and stuff they actually talk about, you want to pay attention to because you're actually interested in that. Something,
right?
You know, whereas normally it's just like BS. You know, time filler crap.
Right.
No, they gave them a lot of good quiet moments too, like when they were having pie
Hmm.
or what
Yeah.
have you. They take their break, you know,
Yeah.
the two
And
of them.
then at the end, when Loki goes back, he time slips to the past to talk to Owen Wilson, like when he first arrived at the TVA,
Right.
and he's asking him like how he decides who to kill, and that whole part was great. And
Heartbreaking. That was heartbreaking.
yeah.
Yeah. Now they did a good job making it. In fact, he doesn't even show up for the last 15 minutes of the episode with Jonathan Majors disappearing.
Right.
They never talked about where he went during that time.
Right.
He just disappears from the TV. So behind the scenes, he was busy with the lawsuit at that point. That's when he got arrested.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Jonathan Majors is the guy who plays He Who Remains or Kang the Conqueror, amongst or Immortus, all those other names that he has going on.
Victor Timely.
Victor Timely, all that stuff. That's Jonathan Majors, who was also in Creed, the last Creed, and he was an Ant-Man. And during filming of this show, he was accused of assaulting his girlfriend. Plenty of video and all that stuff have gone out to disprove it, but that's not something we care about here. What we worry about is his impact on the shows that we like and the movies that we want to see with him in. And so Marvel has been talking about having to move past him and find another villain. And this is a good way to do it because the way he just disappears from the episode and Loki has that finite ending for him, it can now open the door for a new villain, the new big bad throughout this chapter of Marvel's phase.
Yeah, it was. I think they did a good job because they could write Kang totally out of the next phase, or they could keep him in, depending, how things go.
Yeah, they're gonna hold their plan until more developments happen.
Right, because like at the end of Loki, they mentioned how they're keeping an eye on all the different Kang variants.
Right.
And there was one little flare up in the 616, which is the Ant-Man movie. But they say they handled it.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're just keeping an eye on all the variants. So the variants are still out there with the potential to become Kang. But if they don't want to move forward with Kang, then
they can just leave them variants somewhere else.
Right.
They can bring him up by name or flashback, but
the plot line in Loki was so complex, so needlessly, horrifically complex. They could say whatever they want out of it. They could make anything happen after that because they really were they were finding ways to not this. I mean, the episode about science fiction was it was super apropos because they're just throwing words out and then they're like, there's this object and then there's this object and this thing, we need this thing to do this thing and then this thing. And you're like, okay, sure.
That's what I loved about like the last episode. Loki's like, how long is it going to take me to learn all this stuff? Hundreds of years. And it's all hundreds of years later.
Yeah.
He wanted to know so he can make an effect.
Yeah. I dug on the whole Groundhog Day effect in the last episode. I thought it was really well done and really funny and like even the parts that were more serious, like when he was like flashing back to talk to He Who Remains. And just cool stuff like when Loki was like, what makes you think this is the first time we've had this conversation, and stuff like that was like super cool.
Jonathan Majors, he was I thought he was the weak link. He was chewing scenery so hard that it didn't leave room for other people. That stutter, that was one of the most inconsistent stutters I had ever heard. I mean, and then when they showed the flashbacks of Kang, I'm sorry not to talk shit because I enjoyed it a lot, but he really was chewing hard.
Yeah.
When they did the flashbacks and they remind you how he behaves, you just want to punch Kang, and it's hard. Yeah. You want her to stab him because he's so obnoxious.
Yeah.
And I know that's
an answer for everything.
Yeah, he's just so obnoxious. But then when he's in the timely form, he also he's like just this bumbling, stuttering, and it doesn't come off right. I don't know. It's so everyone else was great. Everyone else had great chemistry, and I felt like he was like this thumb amongst it. So I don't even know if they would need if it would be a loss if they got rid of him.
Yeah.
I honestly think Jonathan Majors was doing a great job in the show because he was able to take on all the different variations of Kang. You're right. He was chewing up scenery in that last bit, but that's not him.
Right.
That's not the Jonathan Majors I've seen in any of the other movies or interactions with him. So, like,
I've seen him in other things, and I liked him a lot in it. That Lovecraft Country was great.
Lovecraft Country was amazing.
Yeah.
It was a crime that they didn't make a second season of that.
Yes and no.
I mean, I guess it is nice that it's done.
And they couldn't screw it up.
True.
But yeah, so I liked his. You're right. He was hamming it up like crazy.
Man, every scene he would just go trip. He might as well have done like a pratfall as he goes tumbling through the scene. Sometimes, oops, whoop, 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 and he just goes rolling outside with the hose trailing behind him, and I don't know.
Don't put it down; it'll fall off. It will roll off the gangway.
I did appreciate the. I'm not going to try. I'm going to butcher this. Sorry, all of our listeners in the Scandinavian countries. When he transforms into the World Tree, Yggdrasil or whatever.
Yeah, Yggdrasil.
That was a pretty damn cool moment.
Yeah.
It was very like bringing it back to who he really is.
Yeah.
And also the Norse mythology as a whole. Like he was establishing that, yep, this is the universe. It's a big fucking tree.
Yep. Yeah.
I thought it was fitting, like, because it filled his ego. He's the alpha and omega at that point, but he's also going to be lonely for the rest of his existence because that's his job right there, is to mine the world tree.
Yeah.
And yes, he does end up, in a sense, a ruler of the entire universe, and that he's, the custodian of everything. So like he kind of found like a back door into being more powerful than Odin.
Well, he kind of breaks free of the whole Odin chain as he becomes more powerful. Well, this the equivalent of, I guess.
Right.
You never know. He could send projections of himself or something. Once you're a being like that, you do whatever the hell you want.
And what I thought was cool is like he didn't actually get a throne until he didn't want a throne anymore.
Right.
That was the only time he became ruler, is when he had decided that that's not what he wanted anymore. He wanted to be with his friends. And so he got a throne with no friends. And so it was just kind of a cool, like, melancholy, but, fitting ending.
And the way he said goodbye to everybody, too. That was pretty. Yeah. And I liked Key. I liked Key's character in the show. I thought Key was a great fit.
Yeah.
This season.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It's really good just to see him out there doing it again.
I'm a huge fan of it. So like right after, as soon as I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once and saw him in it, I was like, yay, bring him back.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's definitely good to see him having a moment. And I mean, really, OB is just kind of Data grown up,
right.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And there was little things like his Brooklyn Dodgers hat that he wore in Temple of Doom was hanging in the set in the background, and so yeah, it was just cool little stuff like that was around too.
Little Easter eggs everywhere.
Yeah. And speaking of that kind of stuff, I think one of my favorite things about the entire show is just the production design. Yeah. I mean, everything felt so like tactile and like had a texture and it had a reason for the way it looked. And it's definitely, as far as like Marvel shows go, it's definitely the best like designed one that actually had its own like personality and look. And yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It was like, weirdly retro. It was like,
yeah, it's this great like
tech.
Yeah, like all the furniture,
like futuristic retro look, and it had like 80s and 60s, because like the the suit that they wore to go out. I mean, that was even like kind of 60s looking,
But
then,
at
like,
the same time, it was like the alien race from the Fifth Element. You know,
Yeah.
they were just rounded.
yeah,
You know, kind of with a little head, and that's what it reminded me of. Seeing
right, yeah, that's
these
true.
suits.
Yeah, it's really, everything had a really cool design and really meshed well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Overall, all of us, two thumbs. We love it. We thought it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And they even
Yeah,
had
it's
that Velvet Underground drop in there. You get points just for that
Dude.
alone.
that's what I texted you guys about earlier. That scene where the camera's going over Sylvie when she's in the record, it was like so like Coen Brothers Big Lebowski shot. I was just like, that is just a gorgeous shot. I loved it.
Yeah.
I've like watched it 3 times in a row. But yeah, that scene in the record store is really good. And my buddy Jimmy was texting me. He's like, "That song's not the first song on the album. That song's the last song on the album."
That's
Fucking
true.
But yeah, because she drops the needle down on the beginning of the record, and that song plays, and it's the first thing Dennis texts me. He's like, "But that song's the last song on the album."
The
That
universe
was a great scene.
changed
Yeah.
the track.
Right.
Right. It was, it was a variant Velvet Underground album as well.
That's right.
There you go.
It was Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
Velveeta Underground.
Yeah, it was great.
That
was great.
wraps up our Loki coverage. We all thought it was great. Great aspects of it.
Did you go see the Marvels?
Not yet. Not yet. I
I'm
barely
very
finished Loki a couple days ago. I had to rewatch it because when I watched it, I wasn't coherent. So I had to rewatch it and become coherent and see what I missed.
I feel that.
But I won't. I didn't want to go see the Marvels until after I had seen it, just in case there was a tie-in or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another thing I liked about it is like seasons 1 and 2 of Loki are just its own little self-contained thing. They obviously they mention other stuff in the MCU, but none of it's dependent on seeing it. It's its own little storyline, and
that's the one thing I miss out on with Marvels is that I didn't watch Miss Marvel the series. It just didn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
Well, there was nothing about it I cared about or wanted to know. So I didn't watch it. But from what I understand, it's not going to matter when I go see the Marvels. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how much effect it has on the ongoing universe.
I know they had to refilm a post-credits scene and added a different mid-credits scene. So possibly, but I doubt it had anything to do with like the whole of the film. I think the Secret Invasion will tie in more to the film than this will.
I took your guys' advice and didn't bother watching it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I gained time.
You're welcome. Now you owe us that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, that was like the only Marvel show like there had nothing about it I liked. Like everything else maybe hasn't been my favorite, but all of it there's been some degree that I've liked it, but
right.
I was like actively upset after I was like, that was so pointless and a huge waste of time and a huge waste of Colby Smothers.
Well, more than a waste.
Yeah.
Spoiler, Joey, she dies in the show.
I watched like 3 episodes and then I was done. I didn't think I could finish it.
Yeah, well, you have chosen wisely.
Right.
That's what I felt like too.
I watched the Screen Junkies version of how it should have ended. They do how it should have ended, and I watched the Secret Invasion version they did. They were not nice. They did not hold back. They were like, "What is his eye patch? Is part of his uniform now? I don't understand." They're why is all his clothes in separate cemeteries, separate plots, pulling all these caskets out. One's for his jacket, one's for his eye patch, one for his gun. Why not have them all in one spot?
Yeah, it's very inefficient.
And why does he have all of the Avengers spunk in his graveyard?
Right.
You're not supposed to ask questions like that.
If you get a chance, watch the How It Should Have Ended. It's far
Okay.
more enjoyable than the show was.
In the actual show.
Which is often the case with that show. But
Mm.
where do you think there's rumors of Doom being the big bad?
Are those pictures that are circulating online real? Are like those real concepts from the Doom thing? Have you seen those?
No, I haven't, but I know that
No.
nothing's been released yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen him either.
There's images circling the internet right now. I mean, I have no way of sharing them with you, so let's not dwell on it. But whatever it is, it looks very cool. The design of Doom.
Well, I mean, he's got to be around somewhere because if they're doing Secret Wars, he was the big.
Well,
they're not doing
Beyonder.
the Secret Wars that we know.
No, I know it's
no
the new one.
Beyonder in this show.
No, I know, but in the new Secret Wars, he was the big mucky behind it. Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't read it. I boycotted it because it didn't have Beyonder in it.
I really hope they never bring the Beyonder in. That was always a really dumb idea. I don't know. Even as a kid, I was like, "This is a really dumb idea."
I mean, we already have an arcade.
Too much.
We already have arcade. We don't need Beyonder. They're the same
well,
character.
I mean, the original Secret Wars was just to sell toys, and they just wrote a story around it.
Well, the original Secret Wars was A, to show the Hulk's power holding up the mountainside, and B, introduce the symbiote suit for Spider-Man.
There were a few very cool moments like that stand out, but overall, they were just like, all right, who can we fight over here? Like, just like Justin said with action figures, like, we'll put these action figures over here, and they can fight for a little while. They can fight for a little while. They, whatever, and then the winners, they're going to fight for a little while. Every issue for like 8 issues, no reason except for this one idiot, the Beyonder. Again, a big MacGuffin thing shows up and it's like, hey, you're going to fight. You don't have a choice.
And Claw being dissected and turned into a laser lens to capture the Beyonder's power. Dr. Doom took Claw's body, stretched it out, and aimed it at the Beyonder, and took the Beyonder's powers and absorbed it into him.
Oh, God.
And that's how, like in number 10 or 11, whatever, the cover shows him taking his mask off.
Yeah,
and he's coming down.
It's been a long time.
I
read it.
I am in a toy store, which explains my geekiness. So yeah, I know random things.
Yeah, I have it actually right here.
See, I may be a geek, but I'm not that geek. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I have the trade of it right here. If you ever need to borrow it, Joey, I have it right.
All right. Maybe I should brush up.
It's great just because Mike Zeck does all the artwork in it, so the artwork's great. But
it would make a better like animated movie. Like the Planet Hulks and all that stuff that they were doing.
Yeah,
the Secret Wars would make a better animated movie if they did number 1 that way.
It should be like an Elseworld story. It should be a story that shaped the entire Marvel universe at the time. Like,
and if it was live action, how expensive it would have been to make, getting all those actors to star in those roles.
Right.
Yeah,
but the new Secret Wars is,
it's all spycraft and stuff. And,
it's different realities too. Like there's one whole planet where all the different Thors from all the different worlds are like a police force. And so there was a bunch of different planets and with different mixtures of various heroes and stuff. So it's all very multiversal but Doom was the whole brains behind, the catalyst behind that story.
Now, was it regular technological Thor or was it magical Thor?
There's a bunch of different Thors.
Doom. Technological Doom or magical Doom?
Well, he's always been both.
That's why he's cool.
Yeah, he's always been.
They didn't really focus on the magic until like the 2000s. In the 80s, because up until then it was more cosmic.
No, they were doing him in the 80s because I've got another book up there. It's Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, and he's trying to go to hell to rescue the soul of his mother. And
it's when they battle Mephisto, right?
Yeah, it's Mike Mignola. Yeah,
I remember that was a good one. Yeah.
But yeah, he's always been into the magical side of it. because his mother was a witch.
Right.
Right. I knew he was. I just didn't. To me, it wasn't predominant until then, but I wasn't reading.
Yeah, I think there was probably more. There was storylines that focused more in on it than
Right.
like.
I know he built his armor eventually to enhance his magical
Yeah.
abilities and stuff. Yeah.
Do. Well, we should prepare for that because that's coming.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do it right, and and not like that Doom that they had in the last Fantastic Four movies.
Wow.
Yeah. Terrible.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on to the next subject. I just finished Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. I played it on the PlayStation 5. Are you guys familiar with it at all? Joey said you played it?
I played it for a few hours once. Had a good time with it. Yeah, it was a gorgeous game. And it was kind of Souls-like, I love. And it was very well, you should be talking about this. You're the one that just beat it, but
yes,
it did seem like they stuck the Japanese aesthetic hard. They really did their work. Everything looks like. I mean, not that I've ever been there, but it looks like you think it should look.
right.
Yeah.
So, Justin, have you heard or played it?
No.
Ghost of Tsushima. What it is I think it's in the 1500s. It's set in, and Mongols have taken over this island part of Japan called Tsushima, and the lord of the island is trying to fight back and keep the Mongols away and all that stuff. And so you play as this character. His name is Jin Sakai, and you're the lord's nephew. And your parents had died during the initial invasion of the Mongols. And so your uncle kind of takes you under his wing and trains you in the way of the samurai. And when this new invasion comes, this is where the story starts from. So you're already in your 20s, and you've been a samurai for a while, and you're building a little bit of a reputation. But with the war coming and everything on the shores, your job is to act out and try to save Tsushima. So I think I put in about 200 hours into the game. It's an open world game set on 2 separate big monster locations where the best comparison I can make for it is Horizon Zero Dawn. If you ever played that, the open worldness of it, where everything is interactive with everything else, and you have to do your daily grind of hunting down supplies and going into the grass and finding the right petals and flowers that you have to collect. You got to collect records. You got to collect all this different stuff. And in the meantime, you have to find meditation locations so that you can meditate. You design haikus. And when you do, your reputation and your strength grow broader and more. And then the more resources and stuff you mine, the different types of swords you have, the different type of costumes you have. And they're all traditional, awesome samurai armored costumes. These things are disgustingly badass.
Uh-huh.
And in the meantime, your character is building this reputation as being a ghost who is a Ronin without a lord. And a Ronin that doesn't really follow the rules of being a samurai. He fights without honor and whatnot. And so that's you, and you're playing through this game. And I got to tell you, man, there are times in playing this game where I just was bored off my ass because of all the resource mining you have to do and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are other points in the game where I would just get to the highest peak, or if I was at a lighthouse or something, and I would just stop and I would look around, it was gorgeous. The way the scenery is done, you got smoke burning over here, the wind blowing the smoke, and the leaves and the grass. all the intricate details and the quality of the video. It was just gorgeous to play with. And I would sit here in the store and I'm playing it in the store and I'm looking over at my buddy. I'm like, man, don't you want to live here? I mean, they had like waterfall, like pagodas on the waterfalls and the heated, spa areas and stuff like that. It was just beautiful just to hang out in. And but then to run around on a horse with antlers that stab all the samurai and stuff. It was pretty awesome. The fighting was awesome. It took a lot to get used to, but very authentic style. He has this thing where it's like whenever you get that Clint Eastwood showdown moment where it's him and another samurai getting down, you know, wah, 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 in the background in your head. And he does this thing where he has a sword, his katana in his hand, he goes click and pops it out, and then you know shit's about to happen. And then you get in this big samurai battle, and you fight hundreds of hordes everywhere, just massiveness. And
Right on.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I spent more time on this than I have at any other game except for Zelda. And I hate open world games. I am not a fan of open world games. I like linear storylines, going from A to B to C and getting my shit handled and ending the game. You know, and in a day and age now where the Call of Duty campaign for the new game is 3 hours long, a 200-hour video game story is almost unheard of.
Right.
You know, but I can't recommend it enough. They are making the movie based on the video game, and from what I understand, first off, they're getting an all Japanese cast, which I think is awesome. So we're going to see Ken Watanabe and Hiroyuki Sanada. Hiroyuki Sanada, you guys know as a Scorpion from the Mortal Kombat live action movies lately. And then he was the guy that Ronin killed in the Avengers movie when he was when Hawkeye was Ronin.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, okay.
He was in The Ring. He was the reporter from The Ring. A movie that scarred me and Joey very badly.
Yeah, I just watched that. I know exactly who you're talking about.
So he's in it. He was in Lost too. So he's going to be in Ghost of Tsushima. There's a lot of people that they're getting in for it, but they're doing all the costumes properly. They're filming in Japan, in the old school Shogun Pagoda areas, stuff like that. So I wanted to play this game before that came out because I wanted to know what I was getting into and if I'd be interested in the movie. And I tell you, between a movie version of this game and the new Shogun trailer I just watched a couple days ago, I am excited for both. You know, if the video game movie holds even an ounce of what the Shogun trailer showed me, then we're in for an awesome film experience.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So if you haven't played it, it's on the PS5, it's on the PS4. I don't know if it's on the Xbox or not because I'm not a sellout like Joey is.
It is not. It is not on the Xbox.
I'm just kidding. I have no care between consoles. I don't want a console war flare up showing up in the comment section.
I mean, I have both, but yeah. But it's not.
If you have a chance, if you have a PS5, you got 200 hours to kill.
No.
Load it up and try it out, man, because this is an awesome game. I mean, I was fully immersed in it in no time at all. So, there's that.
That's awesome.
I don't want another 200-hour game. I made the mistake of starting over, doing another Hollow Knight run. That takes enough time and too much time. I don't need another open world thing. That's why I haven't bought Cyberpunk yet. Because once I do, there will be no more Kraken sequel for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
I'm looking forward to. There's another. I wanted to play a Jedi Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's another open world.
Be a good one.
Yeah, the first Survivor it was open world ish.
Yeah, it's Dark Souls within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it was ish, and so I figured Survivor will be the same. But I want to take a break from all that. I need some mindless games for a minute. So any stupid games I can play. I just downloaded the new Hellboy game, so I'm going to give that a shot.
Vampire Survivors. That's a good mindless game. You should try that.
Okay. Have you played the Hellboy game yet?
No, I have not.
Gorgeous artwork. It's all Magnolia art, and it's just beautiful the way the game plays and everything. It's kind of cell shaded action, almost 2D, but it looks really cool. So I'm getting ready to dive into that soon.
That sounds awesome too.
Yeah. I'll let you know if Lobster Johnson shows up.
Probably will.
Can only hope.
Right. So that's all I have for that part of our show.
Cool.
I guess we can talk about the beauty pageant if you guys want.
Sure.
Sure, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, we saw none of it. No, for those of you watching, me and Joey were running the booth selling our comics and whatnot outside the event. So we saw the contestants walking by, a few times before various things, and we heard people talking about it, but we didn't actually get to see any of the pageant itself.
We were cold and shivering, huddling for warmth.
Hungry.
While the zombies paraded past us. Hungry. They looked at us with scorn. They're like, "Look at you! You're not even allowed inside."
You act like you were sitting out there with Tom Hanks and Wilson in a loincloth or something, like starving to death.
No, it was not bad.
Zombies!
No,
There were Frito pies.
Yeah, and it was me and Joey hanging out talking about art and comics. So
yeah,
so
for us it was great.
It was fun, yes.
So the zombie beauty pageant, it is the zombie beauty pageant. Okay, once and for all, that's what it's called. We held it. It's 14 years ago we started doing it. 13 years ago we started doing it, and 3 years into it we had to stop because the location where we're hosting it at no longer became an option for us. So for the past decade, we've been trying to hunt down locations to host the zombie pageant. And what it is, zombie beauty pageant, it's Miss America with zombies. That's all it is. We parade zombies up and down the aisle. They compete in talent competitions. They compete in swimsuit competitions and evening gown competitions. And then, they have the world peace question at the end, stuff like that. And they also have to do a choreographed dance number at the beginning as zombies. So we took a 10-year break while we looked for a venue. Then Corona happened because we had a venue, and then when Corona happened, and that ruined that for 2 years. And we finally were able to bring it back this year with the help of the Rancho Verde School District in Moreno Valley. And yeah, we had a lot of restrictions for it, but we had to lose the name Beauty, and we had to lose the swimsuit competition because we were holding it at a high school. So we had to make sure we tamed everything down. And I think that was an issue, honestly, is because having to tame it down, being so restricted that we won't be able to get as creative as we normally do. But we had a good turnout. Everybody seemed to have as much fun, have a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that this will generate enough interest to where we can host it again annually at various locations throughout the Inland Empire. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was the feedback me and Joey were getting from the people that were watching it when they came out for like intermission and stuff. It sounded like everyone was really enjoying it and having a good time. And yeah.
If you had a chance, for those of you who didn't go, my wife entered and won. And so if you get a chance, head over to
Rigged.
Yeah, it was so rigged. Well, let me discuss a little bit about the show first. First off, I was very excited that we were getting to do this again. We had the people that showed up. All right, so we had, I think, 3 school teachers, 2 moms, 1 grandma. Yeah, and a 14-year-old compete in the pageant, and so all those people showing up to compete and do do the show, it was very heartfelt for me. I was very grateful for them to do that. But it also went to show that anybody can do it.
Right.
You know, we always ask for contestants to come up and do all this stuff, and it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. And these ladies, they busted their ass for it. So I was greatly appreciative of it. Cameron did a great job with the makeup again, helping out everybody with makeup and whatnot. So yeah, we had a great time. But again, we want to try and do it somewhere else because we want to be able to express our creativity a little bit better. We weren't able to get as bloody or as gory or as detailed as we normally would, and plus the seating was, theater style seating where everybody was in the middle, and a lot of our contestants couldn't get out to the audience and have everybody in the audience see the makeup and all the hard work they had done. So hopefully we can find a different location that will allow us to do that for the next shows. But in the meantime, if you get a chance, head over to forbiddenpanel.com if you're not already there, and check out the latest lunch break webcomic that got posted. Jimmy and I did an homage to the beauty pageant on the latest strip, so go check it out, and hopefully you'll enjoy it.
Right on.
So, how did you guys? I know you guys were on the outside and stuff, but what was it like being on a school campus and doing this kind of stuff?
Like being in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
So bizarre. Just hanging out in the quad,
Bizarre.
hanging out in the quad, selling comics.
Yeah. It's definitely different, but yeah, I mean, everyone seemed into it. All the students that were there were having a good time. They were asking us about the books, and
that's true. They were enthusiastic,
very engaged and interested and stuff. It was
what was that like? They interact with the kids and stuff. Seeing these people who you guys were growing up, artists and stuff that would want this kind of stuff at your school. How did that feel for you to be the adult in this situation?
That's cool, and you always want to be super, enthusiastic towards what they're working on. You gotta prep them for, you gotta keep their morale up.
Yeah.
Young artists, because it's really easy to become a depressed artist.
Yeah.
Like, hey, keep your head up, kid. Keep going. Just keep going.
That's one thing I wish I would have had when I was like in high school. Is like if they would have had something like this at my school, and like artists that were self-publishing, telling me how it works and the ups and downs, and having just a little bit of things. I mean, it's a lot easier to find out things about that now. We didn't have the internet back then and whatever, but just having people tell you, about self-publishing and what it takes and how long it takes, and that would have been like really a step up back in the day.
Really? You don't think that would have younger you seeing older you broken down and beaten by the system? You don't think that would have
That's not what they saw. That's not what they saw. No, because we were out there selling our books and stuff.
Right.
We weren't broken down by the system. We were still out there, publishing books and doing artwork and selling our art. And it would have been cool to see like guys, that were doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would have loved to have something like that available for me in when I was in high school, but all we had was How to Duck a Drive-By 101. I grew up in Rialto. We had drive-bys at our high school 2-3 times a week, a couple stabbings a week. So, but we produced Ronnie Lott, so he did good. And Wilson Cruz, I guess his name is now, who's on the new Star Trek. So, yes, we didn't do too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was a kid, we had something like that. It would have been great. All we had when I was in junior high, me and Jason Graham, all we had was our art class where we got to play D&D the whole time. Right. But when we went to high school, there was no instruction on it. There was no creative writing course. There's no, even the art class, it wasn't sequential art. It was just portrait or background art.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I got thrown out of my art class because she didn't like what I was doing, so.
Right. And they don't understand.
Art class was like worthless to me. Yeah.
It's a different type of art that goes into comic books and creating this kind of stuff.
And
Yeah.
people are a lot more open to that now. I mean, obviously, comics is a whole different world now than it was when we were in school.
Right.
It's way more open and accepted than ever. And the movies have a lot to do with that. But
Well, and thanks to the internet, we have ease of access now to the millions of different web comics that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the Sunday cartoons in the newspaper,
right.
Now every day we're getting new web comics from all over the place.
Now you can go on YouTube and watch artists draw and see how they do it. Watch them lay out a book, and there's hours and hours of helpful information out there now that the only book that I ever had was How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. And it was the only thing that even really dabbled into the actual specific creativity of comic books,
Right. And that was a terrible, terrible manual.
It not at the time though. At the time, you're like, "Oh, I'm getting the Marvel way." I'm getting the Marvel.
I burned through at least 3 of those books.
Yeah,
I read them so hard, the binding would just explode,
fall apart. Yeah,
terrible.
It's all you had.
Right.
Yeah.
So now here we are at our age, and these kids coming up to the booth just hungry for the information, right? So you had to have felt good that you were in a position.
Yeah. I love talking to people. That's my favorite thing about conventions. It's my favorite thing about, young people, older people. But yeah, when young people are like, how do I start? And I love it. Love talking to people. This is my favorite thing about doing conventions is just chatting with people that are the same mindset or that want to be where you're at or anything like that. And if there's anyone watching, the most important thing is just to start. It's like, don't wait till you think you're ready. Don't wait till you think you're good enough. You just got to jump in and start. And if you wait,
don't ever stop.
And don't ever stop. But if you wait I wish I would have started like seriously doing conventions like earlier. If I would have known how easy it was just to rent a booth and like put some artwork on a table, I would have done it a lot.
Back then it was affordable too.
Well, a lot more than now. But so if I would have known how easy it was just to spend $40 on a booth at the Los Angeles Sci-Fi Con and some artwork on a table and start doing it, I would have. But I always thought, I need to have all this done and I need to have this book printed and all this stuff, and you don't. You just need to get out there and start doing it, and it'll snowball.
Right. And you got to remember too, man, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And that's literally when it comes to art. Like I've seen Justin throw away masterpieces that I wish I had the talent to draw. And Justin is sitting there like, nah, it's trash.
That's garbage.
Like, same with Joey. I've seen Joey do the same thing. And
if I can draw it once, I can draw it again. What does it matter?
Right. I don't know that. Like all I know is my non-talent having ass is watching you guys whip up all this stuff, and I'm like pretending not to be the little geek on the outside waiting in line, like, ooh, look at that, I'm sitting next to it, but yeah, now if we had these kind of resources when we were younger, I've been on Joey to do a comic book for 30 years, so he only has himself to blame for that.
That's right. All you got to do is you guys got to be supportive, be positive. Can't be a grump when they come to your table.
Hey, I'm not a grump.
I wasn't pointing fingers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you guys got anything else you want to bring up or say anything toward anybody?
I don't think so.
We have no shows or conventions coming up for the rest of the year. So we're not going to be on the road at all. We have a couple of indie parties and get-togethers that we're looking to have before next year. But once we figure out a show or convention that we're going to, we'll go ahead and announce it on the website. in the meantime, check back here once a month for the live broadcast of this show. This month is November, and a bunch of friends and I are gotten together. A friend of ours died a couple months ago. His name is Brandon. He died of testicular cancer, which started off slow and then just grew like crazy. And 1 minute he was there, the next minute he was gone. And I felt bad because I didn't know him. I'd only met him a few times.
Yeah, I only met him once at Ren Fair.
Yeah, but when we were filming the trailer for the pageant, we had to meet at his house because that's where Dan and Jan live, the directors and producers of the short we did. So I got to sit there for a while and actually have a conversation with him. Good half-hour conversation. He and I kind of got into it, and I realized that this is a really good guy. He's a really nice guy, downhearted, the whole thing. And to hear he had passed away 2 weeks after I had seen him kind of messed me up. But I was also grateful to have been able to meet him. So in response to that, this month being November, where everybody's supposed to not shave, excuse me. A bunch of guys and I have got together and decided to do a fundraiser for November. We're trying to reach goals up to 2,000. And in the tiers of that goal, we have set mini goals for us, mini tiers. Mine just passed. So somebody donated up to $1,000 to the cause. And so now I have to shave my beard off at the end of the month. I got to go clean shaven. And the rest of us, we're all big, thick bearded people, most of them like Justin. And so we can raise up to $2,000, all of us will shave all of our beards off and donate the money toward, Movember, I think it's called, Mustache November or whatever it is, and the Testicular Cancer Research Fund. So for those of you that are out there, come find us online. Just go to Movember.com or whatever that website is, and you can find us there. Branducci is the name of it, BRANDUCCI. That's the name of the fundraising that we're doing, the team that we're on. So at the end of the month, you'll see me be clean baby shaven, and maybe we can get somebody else to do the same thing too, just to raise awareness because, fuck cancer. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. And that.
And that. All right, guys. So if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and say goodbye to everybody. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thank you, Joey and Justin, for joining me this episode.
Sure thing. Anytime.
Cool.
And we'll catch everybody up. We'll see everybody next month. If you have any recommendations that you want us to review, anything you think we should watch or see, if Rebel Moon seems to grab you, maybe we can review that when it comes out, the Zack Snyder's version of the Seven Samurai, or anything like that. Any type of recommendations you have for us, just shoot us an email or comment on the thread, and we can discuss it in the next episode and mention you in it. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next month.
Cool. There you guys.
Cool.
All right.